What's up, ladies and gentlemen, my name's Scythe, and this is going to be a brief tutorial, more of an introduction rather, to the life skills of gathering, because while MapleStory does a fantastic job pretty much having its own wiki inside the game itself, it can sometimes end up messing up in not instructing the player very specifically as to how you end up actually starting a lot of these things and just what each of the functionalities is going to end up relating to. So for the life skills, you're just going to click on this right here, go to life skills, and the gathering tab, there's going to be 4 different categories. We're going to touch crafting and leisure in other videos because of course that's got to do with interior design, pet taming, and crafting in general is going to end up requiring a lot of the resources that you get out of the gathering. You don't really need to worry about crafting right away though, because the daily limit is you can craft 1,000 different items, whereas gathering, you can only gather a set amount of items per day. So you're going to want to try and start doing this as soon as you end up creating an account, because obviously it's going to end up paying for you in the end rather than tackling this later and being super far behind compared to if you were actually doing it day one. So let's just take the mining for example. I've already set these up as impossible, which means that I've completely mined them out. As you end up getting to higher and higher tiers, there's going to be more and more accessible ores to you. And one thing that you can always keep in mind is that mastery granted is a very important thing to keep an eye out for, because you can see from the zinc, I'm actually getting mastery 2, from silver, I'm getting mastery 4, and then from tin, I'm getting nothing. So I could go and farm some tin if I needed it for some type of a crafting resource, but as far as I'm concerned right now, just trying to level up my mining, it's not going to end up helping me to end up going for this. And the game itself, again, like I said, has its own wiki built inside itself, so you can just click on whatever the newest resource is that you're going to go and gather, and it says known locations. Click that. It's going to show you right then and there on the map, and then you can just either fast travel to it if you have Premium Club, or just travel to the nearest taxi, or just travel to it manually. It's very, very easy. Now, ranching is going to be a little bit different, so is foraging. Foraging is going to be related to plants. Of course, those are going to be very similar to mining. It's just going to be out in the world and stuff like that. Farming and ranching, though, near as I can tell, these are exclusive to your personal house. There might end up being some other items further down the line that are out in the world, but for right now, I don't know if that's actually true. So you're going to see that it doesn't actually tell you where you end up actually farming this. All you're going to do is in the bottom right hand corner, you're going to click on My House, and you're going to go to Start Furnishing. If you haven't already gone through the tutorial, it kind of explains to you how this is going to work, but if you ended up just skipping through that and aren't exactly sure, you go to the category of life skills, and all of these are going to slowly end up unlocking more and more as you end up getting to higher tiers. So right now I can only gain mastery from the pig pen as well as the cows, and then as far as the plants, I can only gain mastery from the apple tree and the pine mushroom. Now right away you're going to see the mysterious meteorite tree. Now this is something that's more related to later, where you can try and farm this every day if you want to maximum, so that you end up actually having the meteorite resource, because that's going to be something related to taming pets, which of course you can only tame pets at level 50. You will be able to put certain pets to like your other characters. You are going to be able to exchange them, but as soon as you've ended up using a pet on one specific character, it's going to end up being class bound to that character forever. Now, another thing to keep in mind is certain pets you can actually get very rarely from mob drops, or more particularly dungeon drops, and those bad boys you have to be level 50 to not only attain, but to use in the first place. Whereas certain ones like Bob here, this little sheep, which I ended up getting from a founder's pack, operates the same as a field pet. But I don't want, I'm digressing a little bit too much onto the pet taming and stuff like that. So there's a couple little icons that you can kind of keep in mind. You can see right here, the cows obviously are going to give us the most mastery, as we saw in the life skills tab, but out in the world you can actually see the blue on top of these icons, or the blue icons themselves, means that this is going to end up being the best mastery that we can get. Green is going to end up being the second best mastery, and then gray as an icon just means that you aren't going to be able to forge anything or grab any of the resource at all. Now you're going to want to try and cluster them together as best as you can, because then you can just keep doing 4 at once over and over and over again, and you can see our success rate is high. that eventually is going to go to medium, low, and eventually impossible, and then that means we can't actually farm any more of the resource for the rest of the day, which is why you're going to want to try and do this right away, because of course this is time-gated mastery related to these different progressions in the life skills. And again, you're going to need to progress not only to end up getting different things like you see I got a windmill that I can end up using in my personal house and stuff like that, but you're also going to need these resources for later on, folks. Not to mention the higher tiers themselves gives you access to even rarer resources that are going to end up being even more useful and more utilized for the later crafting and stuff like that. But again, we'll get into that in another video. Hopefully you found this video helpful though, folks, because again, for the most part, the game kind of runs itself, but I do think that it's important for me to have these tutorials every now and then that kind of just explain the basis of how all of these different mechanics work, because I know that when I first started playing this game, I found it really confusing. Thanks for watching though, very much appreciate it. Sayonara, and stay epic, everybody.